Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your girl, Cherrell. I'm the host of Let's Talk the Show, and this ain't a podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in this Tuesday. Like y'all do every Tuesday, we got a great show in store. Before we go any further, make sure you click that button in your lower right corner and share this conversation with 3 friends you think will love the conversation. So as the title says, today we are talking about something super serious. Tonight we'll be discussing HIV awareness and knowing your status. If you guys didn't see, I've been posting over the last week or so. Yesterday, June 27th, was National HIV Testing Day, and it's something we all need to be talking about. But before we go any further, you guys know I got to kick the conversation off with something that I'm grateful for. I see you guys are joining in the comment section. Make sure you give me something that you're grateful for. I will say that today I'm grateful for, I would say that I'm grateful. I'm just grateful for life. Grateful for another day to do it all over again. Hey. So yeah, that's what I would say. I would say I'm grateful for. Drop in the comment section something you're grateful for. So we're going to jump right into it. This is not... I know a lot of my shows, sometimes it's a lot about how I feel mixed with a little bit of facts, a little bit of public opinion. This is not that. This show is strictly facts and information because we need to get the correct information out there so that we can better protect ourselves and our children and the ones we love. So this is not my opinion. These are all facts, information that have been gathered from HIV.gov and the CDC website. I know we a little questionable, but they're the best we got. So, yeah, and a lot of this information just, also compiled through looking through HIV influencers, which are real people on social media. So yeah, we're going to jump right into it. What is HIV? HIV is the human immunodeficiency virus. It's just a virus that attacks the cells that help the body fight infection, that basically makes the body more vulnerable to diseases and infections. And so that is not the same thing as AIDS, just so we clear. AIDS is acquired immunodeficiency disease, and at that point they say that AIDS is like the last stage of HIV. A lot of people that a lot of famous people I know, we've Eazy-E, Magic Johnson, and people that have been diagnosed with HIV/AIDS, and they were in the spotlight. I know a big thing was just that Magic Johnson was giving blood, and a lot of people don't know is that I think beforehand, like probably years ago, back in the 80s when it was first discovered, they might not have been testing the blood to see, but I believe you can safely give. You know what? Scratch that. I'm not telling you all that because I have to look through my notes to see if that's possible. I think that's a low risk way to actually contract HIV is because it's screened so well, and they don't even allow you to, I believe, donate blood with a certain health history. So that's probably a very low, very rare way to actually catch HIV. So we're going to keep going. So if HIV is actually left untreated, or if HIV is left untreated, or you're not consistently taking your medicine, you can develop AIDS. And at that point, they say people with AIDS that is left untreated have about a 3 to 5 year lifespan. But the medicine that you do take for AIDS can help you. The medicine that you take for HIV can help in your battle against AIDS. So that's when the first HIV case was discovered in June 1981. So it's a little over, almost 40 years old. Yeah, this is kind of weird. I'm gonna be honest. I was looking this stuff up, and a lot of stuff that I seen on the websites with things that I already knew, which I find it crazy because I watch a lot of old shows, so A Different World, Girlfriends. A lot of these shows, a lot of old songs actually talked about HIV too. So if you guys ever seen Girlfriends talked about HIV. It was when Lynn was doing the documentary, and she had old girl from Set It Off that be always crying and stuff. She was there. She was acting as a woman who had HIV. And her and Joan had gotten into it because Joan thought the girl stole her boyfriend, and then she yelled at Joan well, you can have him and HIV he gave me. That was a big thing. And even at the end of that episode with on Girlfriends with Joan, she had cut herself on the knife. And so everybody had got kind of scared, and she was like, y'all don't have to worry. Once it hits the air, it's done. You know what I'm saying? And so at the end of that episode, you know, they had washed the knife off and everything. I'm sorry, at the end of the episode, Joan was washing the knife off again for like the umpteenth time. She ended up throwing the knife away. And I think that that really speaks volumes to the stigma attached to HIV and AIDS and the information that we know about it and how it can be transmitted, which is definitely what we're going to talk about to me, which I think is most important. We're definitely going to talk about ways to prevent getting it and how it's actually transmitted, because I think there's a lot of misconception about that. A lot of misinformed people going around sharing the wrong shit, right? But yeah, so it was first discovered in 1981. And you know, why should you care? You should care because you're at risk. Anybody that's having unprotected sex, there are obviously populations that are more affected, like gay or bisexual men who have sex with men that are Black, Latino, Native American, or Alaskan Native man. Black women are more at risk, transgender women, the youth ages 13 through 24, and people who inject drugs are some of the most highest populations that are at risk. So you need to be, concerned, and you need to know your status. If you guys don't know how often you should be getting tested, every time you go back to somebody, you should be getting tested. Anytime you stop messing with somebody, before you start messing with somebody, you should be tested. So all that getting tested every 3 to 6 months, I would honestly think that that's for somebody that is in a long-term committed relationship. Just because, people do get a little bored, And so I would honestly recommend making sure, if you're in a long-term committed relationship, being tested every 3 to 6 months. But if you are not in a long-term monogamous committed relationship, then I think you need to be getting tested every time you get a new partner and after someone. I think that is a very safe thing. And if you guys don't know, the insurance hack to make sure that your STD testing is covered is just to make sure that when you go in there, they'll be like, if you're getting them done often, if you change your partners, no judgment, they'll say like, oh, do you have any symptoms? Just lie and say you had something, okay? So that way the insurance covers it. But I also want to make sure I say this: when you ask for an STD panel, they do not typically include HIV. They usually include gonorrhea, herpes, chlamydia, whatever else. But you need to specifically ask for, when you're doing your STD testing, make sure you specifically ask for HIV testing. HIV testing is not, for whatever reason, a part of the typical panel for STD testing. It just isn't. I'm going to be tested and I'm like, yo, did you do HIV? And they're like, no. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like, why would you not do it? Like, my nigga, do it. So make sure that when you are going to get tested, which you should be getting tested more than every 3 to 6 months if you are not in a long-term committed relationship, make sure you are specifically asking for HIV as well. They'll do the regular panel, but make sure you ask for HIV as well. And just like I said, I gave you guys those people that are primarily at risk. Anyone who is having unprotected sex is at risk. We'll talk about I will say that certain forms of sexual activity are also much riskier than other ones. You guys may know about that, but we'll go ahead. We'll go and talk about that. So most importantly, I gave you what it is, who is affected or who can be at risk of it, and why anybody should care. Because this disease affects the ones you love. It affects yourself. And a lot of, not only can you just get the disease, even if you get it and you're taking your medication and you're fine, mentally it takes a toll on you. And so that is not only important to, just educate you guys about what it, physically does to you. Mentally, it does take a toll. It takes a toll on the loved ones, on your loved ones around you. And also it's important to say that there is no cure for HIV/AIDS, but there is medication that can help you live a long, healthy life. Literally. Like there is medication that can help you live a life. And we're going to talk about those medications right now. This is just a form of prevention. The number one form of prevention is always condoms. Okay? Condoms. They protect you against these. Okay? Wear a condom. Okay? Wear a fucking condom. Okay? It's probably going to be cheaper than the medication and cheaper than diapers. And everything is high as hell. So please, if you are out here having sex, wear a condom. Okay? I think they give them out for free at the local health department. Right? So the number one method of prevention for HIV is always a condom, or don't have sex. Just don't have sex. And I will say this, you know, you might get a little touchy-feely, but understand that HIV cannot be transmitted unless you are exchanging bodily fluids. And you might say, what are bodily fluids? Bodily fluids are blood, semen, cum, pre-cum, any rectal fluids, that anal sex, or vaginal fluids, or breast milk. So breast milk, obviously, I don't know, maybe somebody could be sucking on your boobs. It could be freaky, I don't know. But it can be exchanged through from mom to baby, if she's breastfeeding, or if y'all just freaky like that and y'all sucking on her boob or whatever, it can be spread that way as well. So but then back to prevention. So making sure you wear a condom or just abstaining from sex. Don't have sex. Also, prevention. It's called PrEP. I know I've seen a ton of these episodes. I've seen a ton of these commercials all over. So PrEP, which is pre-exposure medicine to prevent you from getting it. So I believe that this medication is the type of medication that you would take if you are in one of those riskier groups that I said earlier, and you know you're having a lot of anal sex, vaginal sex, oral sex, whatever. You can take this to prevent it from prevent yourself from getting HIV. And this is also good for people who are. This is great for gay or bisexual men that are having sex with men, black women, transgender women, youth, ages 13 through 24, or people who do or who inject drugs. That is a good thing for you if you're like not in a monogamous long-term committed relationship. I think that's really great. Post-exposure medicine, which is taken within 72 hours to prevent the virus from taking hold. So I think when I read this, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know they had, I knew that they said, you know, I've seen like on Law and Order 1,000 times that they say, oh, you were been raped. Okay, well, we gotta make sure we get you HIV medicine quickly, because the medicine that they give you post-rape, if you may be exposed, because they don't know if you've been exposed. They're going to do a full, you know, STD panel, but they also give you medicine to prevent the HIV from taking hold, which I think is pretty dope. And so that's also super important. This is not a part of what we're talking about, but if you've been raped or sexually assaulted, please go to the hospital, because you may or may not have been exposed, and you don't know though. You don't want to. I know it can be a traumatic experience, but going to the hospital can definitely not only get you the mental resources that you need, but the physical resources by getting you the HIV post-exposure medication. So those are just 4 ways to prevent HIV, which is not having sex, wearing a condoms, taking medication prior to, so pre-exposure to prevent you from getting, and then post-exposure medication, which is taken within 72 hours of a possible exposure to HIV, right? And as long as you're taking these medications, I think it's important to note that these medications that people are prescribed once they have a positive HIV diagnosis, these medications can make you so, they can make you, okay, I see you. Okay, hold on, go get in the bed. Let me finish working. I can't, I'm working right now. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So you could be taking medication if you have a positive HIV diagnosis, and you could become what they call undetectable. And undetectable just means that the viral load, which is the amount of virus in your bloodstream, is so low that they cannot any longer detect it on a test. Which means, this is great news, which means that if you're undetectable, you're untransmittable. Which means that if you have a positive HIV diagnosis, but you are undetectable in the test, you cannot transmit it to an HIV negative partner, right? But the only way to get that way is to make sure that you are properly taking care of yourself and taking your medicine consistently. That is super important to know. So yeah, there's also a great thing. That's a great thing for people to know. You know, a lot of people don't know that once you get it, you can become undetectable and untransmittable. People just think that once you get it, it's a death sentence, and that's not true. Medication and technology has come such a long way that we really made it possible for people to live long, healthy lives. I need you to stop. So I do want to move forward to ways that you cannot get HIV, okay? I think people get caught up in a horror story of how you can get it. Let me tell you ways you cannot get HIV. You cannot get HIV through saliva, okay? So if you are kissing somebody, swapping spit, you can't get it. It's not in your spit, okay? It's not there. Air or water, you can't get it. It's not airborne. You can't get it from spitting on somebody. It's not it. You cannot get it through tears or feces that don't have contaminated blood. The key thing with HIV is that you get it through blood and it gets in your bloodstream. So you need contaminated fluids to get in your bloodstream. So that means, well, I'm back up. Anyways, you can't get it through tears, feces that don't have contaminated blood, okay? Or any sexual act that does not include the exchange of bodily fluids. So if y'all just touching each other, aggressively touching each other, rubbing on each other, you can't get HIV that way. You're fine. The only time that you can get HIV, which we're going to talk about now, is through blood, semen, which is cum or pre-cum, rectal fluids or anal sex, or vaginal fluids or breast milk. And the way you contract HIV is through the mucous membranes that are in like the rectum, the vagina, the mouth, the tip of the penis, and it basically enters through open cuts or sores, or direct injections by needles or syringes. So, excuse me. The way to get it would be another way that you can get it is just or through like oral sex. Maybe it's possible, but they said it's a very rare and very low chance that you can contract. Okay, where are you going? There's a very low chance that you can contract HIV through oral sex. Perhaps if a HIV positive person ejects in a negative person's mouth, it is a possible way you can get it. But it's not enough just to get in your mouth. It needs to get into your bloodstream. So there needs to be some type of open sores or like bleeding gums or something like that for that contaminated fluid to get into your bloodstream. What do you need? I'm working. What do you need? Okay, I'm working. Do you want to go get in the bed? Go get in the bed and you can get a popsicle when I'm done. Okay, well, I don't have time for that. So those are the ways you can get it and the ways you cannot get it. But understand that it needs to get in your bloodstream. The most important thing is that HIV cannot be contracted through healthy, unbroken skin. No, they can't. Say you don't have say you get like some semen or something on your hand. If there's no cuts or open sores on your hand, you're fine. It has to be able to get into your body through open cuts, sores, ulcers, things like that, which is why they said that oral sex was such a low risk, because you need to have bleeding gums, or ulcers in your mouth. You need to have cuts or sores in your mouth for that contaminated semen or vaginal fluid or whatever to get into your bloodstream. It can't get in there if you just swallow it and you don't have any open sores. It didn't break through anything. It has to be ingested. It has to get into your bloodstream, right? So let's talk about, I know I kind of said kind of gave it away there, but some ways, some sexual activities are less riskier. So the most risk, let me make sure I say this right. The highest risk to receive, or highest risk sexual activity that you can contract HIV, or the sexual activity that has the highest risk for you contracting HIV, I can't even get it right, would be the sexual activity that has the highest risk for you contracting HIV will be anal sex, and vaginal sex, and then like oral sex at the very, very end. And again, the most important thing is just that it has to get through the bloodstream. It has to get through like some sores or some cuts or something, so you can get it through genital sores and things of that nature. It has to be the swapping of those fluids. They did say that oral sex is the least riskiest. Like I said, it has to be some type of way to get into your bloodstream. And I don't want to scare anyone. I don't want you guys to be, nervous about it. But the most important thing here is prevention. Go get tested. That's the only way to prevent yourself from catching something. That's the only way to prevent yourself from spreading something. You need to know where you got something from. Another great way, I know I'm going over the place a little bit here, to prevent the HIV is minimizing your sex partners. Don't be humping on everything you see. Cut back on who you humping on. That way you can cut back on your chances of catching something. Refrain from sex. You can't get nothing if you ain't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Using a condom. Condoms protect. That protects you from a lot. 99.9%. Ain't 100 because ain't nothing 100% effective. But nonetheless, it significantly cuts your chances of catching any STD. And this is something else that is really important to know. If you have other STDs that are going untreated, you have a higher chance of contracting HIV/AIDS. That is super important. That is also why it's important to go get tested regularly. A lot of times you hear doctors say how women, particularly women or even men, some cases if you let an STD go untreated, it can create fertility issues or it can develop other health issues. And one of those other health issues is you contracting, creating a higher chance of you contracting HIV/AIDS. So make sure you're getting tested regularly, not just for HIV, but for everything, because you want to always know your status. That is to protect yourself, to protect the ones you love and those around you. So also wanted to tell you, it's not enough to tell you what ways you can get it, how to prevent it. It's important to tell you where can you go to get tested. These are the places that you can go to get tested for HIV or typically any STD. You can go to your local primary care physician's office. You can go to your local health department, a health clinic. Specifically, like I told you guys, specifically ask for HIV. I'm working. Specifically ask for Kareem. Hold on. Lay down. I will get you a popsicle. Lay down, please. It's also important to make sure that you are specifically asking for HIV testing. Like I said, I don't know why it's not already included in that panel because I've gotten testing done before. HIV testing wasn't in it. So make sure you are specifically asking to be tested for HIV along with the rest of the STDs that are out there. And those are the places you can go get tested. You know, I don't know. I know the show is really short. I see you guys jumping in here. I was waving at everybody. It's really important for this episode to just be an episode that gives you the information. It's not a lot of opinion in here. It's not a lot about how I feel because to me it's just important because it's like we live in such a sex-driven society. Is always fucking a nigga with a bag, fucking the baddest bitch who got the fattest ass, like fucking multiple bitches. Like it's all this polygamy. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that it's not enough to just teach people or tell people to have sex or who to have sex with. You got to teach people that there are repercussions that come with sex. You know what I'm saying? When you're not doing it properly, there's always consequences to actions. You know, especially when you're just not taking the right precautions. And in this day and age, I know that people like to think they're in healthy, safe relationships. I want to remind you that nothing is 100% effective. Even if you are in a relationship, you need to go get tested. It's not enough to be like, oh, we've been together, go get tested. People be with people for years. They have kids, find out 10, 15 years later, a lot of baby ignorance. Go get tested. So all my ladies out there that are dating men, and you're like, well, as long as he come back home. As long as he come back home with what, though? As long as he comes back home with what? Money, you're good. What if he brings you back something that you can't cure, that you can't get rid of, that a shot in antibiotic ain't gonna help you with? It's not enough to just have somebody that you're sleeping next to. It's important that you know their status, your own status. Cheating, and this is so important. Cheating is a health risk. It's not just mentally. It's not physically. Oh, I feel sick or my mind is gone. It's not a heartbreak. Cheating can have long-term health risk. Go get tested. Stop letting him come back home after he done screwed with how many other people, or because he got hit. You don't know what they got that he's messing with. You know what I'm saying? And I promise you, he ain't screwing them and then going to get tested and coming back. And the same thing with fellas. She cheated, you taking her back, make her go get tested. You cheated, I'm going to take you back, but you need to go get tested out. You know what I'm saying? And make sure you get the results. It's not enough to just be out here taking somebody back because they come home every night. Go get tested. I'm trying to finish. Hold on. So make sure you guys go get tested. We're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. Can you stop? We're going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. I want to say that I am grateful for being able to get through the bulk of this episode without my sonning. And that's really all I got. I know this is super short. I hope I gave you guys all the information you need. I don't want you to be scared. And I don't want you to be sorry. I want you to be informed and aware. So make sure you are, if you're not abstaining from sex, make sure you are wearing a condom. Getting tested before, after, and during every partner. Even if you're in a relationship, make sure you go get tested. Do not accept somebody just coming home or being okay because they came home every night. Make sure you send their ass to the clinic, okay, before they bring their ass home. Okay, because they bring their ass home with some fleas that you can get rid of. All right. So that's really all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys have a great evening. And I hope you guys are blessed, safe, and protected. That's all I got. My name is Cherrell Carter, you guys. I'm the host of Let's Talk the Show, and this and the podcast. I will see you guys next Tuesday. Peace.